Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nivesesha Srinyavadi Pashachare Satarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you for coming. Today is Friday the 18th of April. Right. And in our preliminary Bhakti Shastri program to help people who want to head on to higher expectations, we're now doing an overview breakdown of chapter 12 of the Bhagavad Gita. So before we start that, again, thank you for coming, and it's Vrindavan, India, right? We're all here in the Krishna Balaram Temple guest house. So our traditional appreciation of the Bhagavad Gita is to read the slokas in the first 7 slokas that are part of the Bhagavad Gita. They're actually a feature of the Bhagavad Gita. Many devotees are maybe not aware, but it's part of the introduction. The very end of the introduction. These slokas are there. Okay, our process is always to distill information into a word, essence word. Because we can remember one word and then that word expands and helps us remember the rest. If we try to remember too much at once, it's very difficult. Okay, so we'll go over the 7 essence words really fast. Newcomers may not know them, so we always revise them. And the other people seem to like to do it, right? Nobody seems to mind saying go, and stop, and wash, and never, read, and never, and drink, and serve. Now the newcomers are looking at me in shock. Is she gone mad? We've just started. Temperature's not that high yet, right? Okay, so what we do is we take a nutshell word, and our whole bhakti process of the devotional service is like that. There'll be a bij word, sutra, sloka, then 18,000 slokas, right? It expands. So when we study, we go the reverse. We compress. And then we can, when we have to expand, we have a progressive way to do it. If I asked you to read everything at once and remember what it said, it's a little hard to digest, okay? So remember, we'll go, and you can do the signs with us. It's fun. Body language is 55% of communication. So take advantage of it, right? Stop. Wash. Read. Never. Drink. And serve. Okay, so now you just recite along after I read a section and you respond. Okay, so now our nutshell word isn't the exact word here, but in an essence it says what the sloka is about. One who recites this, oh, by the way, use your hand when you're reading. This is a study skill. It helps you concentrate. Okay? Krishnadas knows that. We got him a book on speed reading. Is it a good book? What do they tell you to do? Use your hand. They make a lot of money telling you to do that. We don't charge you anything. So use your little finger, think of Krishna's flute, and slide your hand along. Keeps your mind on the text, keeps your eyes from juggling. One who recites this holy scripture. Wait a minute, one of our passengers isn't with us. Shakshi, do you have your study sheet? You don't have it? You didn't get one. Okay. Make sure everybody has one. Harbo. The Bhagavad Gita achieves the abode of Vishnu, which is always free from the mundane qualities based on fear and lamentation. Now another study skill is to be dramatic. When you see a word, you can say it in 2 ways. You can say it like a machine, one who recites this holy scripture, the Bhagavad Gita, right? But if you see the word, intonation is 38% of communication. So if your voice matches the word, guess what happens? You remember it better, okay? So when we say fear, we should say fear, right? And we say lamentation, we should say lamentation. Then you really get the point. Okay? Text 2. One who is regularly engaged in the study of the Bhagavad Gita and in the practice of pranayam is never affected by the reactions of his past misdeeds. Now see, you're all becoming actors and actresses. That's what you have to do on stage. You can't just recite boringly. They'll never hire you. And you'll have more fun when you study, right? So the key word is you stop your karma. Okay, let's try text 3. By daily taking a bath. In water. One may cleanse himself from impurities. But if one takes a bath even once in the sacred water of Bhagavad Gita, for him the dirt of material life is altogether vanquished. My God, you guys are going to win the Academy Award for sure. Okay. You see, in drama, they have to do that. They have to use the body. They have to use the voice. If they stand up on stage like this, the audience goes home. And the next day's review, the program closes. Okay, now let's find out what read means. Text 4. The Bhagavad Gita is meant for careful recitation. And then there is no need for any other scripture. Because it has directly emanated from the lotus mouth of the Supreme Lord. Joy. Sound good? Good advertisement. Okay. Everybody convinced? You must be, you're here. So the next time you read the Bhagavad Gita to some buyer, make sure you make him dramatize the whole thing. You'll have a lot of fun with the book. By drinking the Ganges water of the Gita, the divine quintessence of the Mahabharata, emanating from Lord Vishnu's lotus mouth, one will never again take birth in the material world. Okay, we hope that happens for Raghav, right? This is his birthday. We hope this is finishing up this time. Text 6. Now we get to see the relishing part, right? All the Upanishads are compared to a cow. And the milkman is Sri Krishna, the son of Nanda. Now they have to tell you that because other people have the name of Krishna. Sometimes Draupadi is called Krishna. So they have to tell you which Krishna we're talking about. Okay. Arjuna is the cow. The great nectar of the Bhagavad Gita is the milk. And the fortunate devotees, now that's you guys, listen, of fine theistic intellect. This is a really good group, right? Are the enjoyers of that milk. So you're going to relish the Gita today. Now, we want to say thank you to Krishna for 6 blessings. Because that's polite, right? Somebody gives you something, you don't say thank you. Are they going to give you something again? Not very likely. There need be only one scripture. Sri Krishna's divine Gita. Only one Lord. That same Krishna. The son of Devaki. Only one mantra. The chanting of his holy name. And only one duty. Devotional service. Unto that Supreme Lord. Shri Krishna. Jai. So now we know how we can say thank you. All right, devotional service. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Krishna.
Krishna Krishna.
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
Hare Rama.
Hare Rama.
Rama Hare Rama.
Hare Rama.
Rama Rama. Hare Hare. So all of you are chanting that. You must have done all the hurdles to get to this level of spiritual realization. It's like the Olympics. You know, you go through all the preliminaries. So whoever's chanting Hare Krishna and studying the Gita and has faith in Krishna, he's in the Olympics and he's in the finals. You guys are all in the finals. You're almost there. So you don't want to give up, right? Keep going. Okay, so now you'll need your magic slates. You have your magic slates. Your little, sometimes we call them iPads. They're not as fancy. Okay. Hope I recharged this one. Why is my map? Okay. And you'll need your map. You'll have your map? Okay. This is flight 220 of the Bhagavad Gita. VG 220. Okay. So the first thing we do when we study is we narrow it down, right? You've got all your books, but you got to get focused. So where do I go first? I go to what? Good, you pick that one off the shelf. Or you pick it off your iPad. So write BG. Did you all write BG? I'm keeping my eye on Shakshi. When he does it, we know we're doing it. Okay. Hold it up, Shakshi, to prove it. Does it say BG? No! He's a challenging student. Does it say BG? Very good. So we've opened up the right book for today. Now we have to be focused. Where are we today? 12th chapter. So write 12 on your magic slate. And then we put a slash. Because we try to pack our suitcases with a lot of information. When you're traveling, you have to buy suitcases that have a lot of pockets, don't you? If they just have one empty bag, then everything's thrown in. And you can't find anything. It's chaos. So we try to find ways to pocket information. So instead of just saying 12, we say 12, 20. Now why did we say that? There are 20 verses. There's a good boy. Why did we say that? Right. So now we just know that Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12, has how many verses? Right. So whenever I say 12, 20, you'll say, that's Bhagavad Gita. Very good. 12, 20. All right. Now, this is in the middle section of the Gita. And it's the last section. This section is called Bhakti Yoga. Right, so we're getting a bigger picture of where we are now. We've opened up the thing. We know we're in the 12th chapter. We know how big it is. Our computer says it's 20 megabytes. Okay. And we know we're in the Bhakti Yoga section. It's the last chapter. There was a chapter before that. Do you know what that one was? Karma Yoga. This is in the middle of the sandwich. At the end of the sandwich, it's Jnana Yoga. But Bhakti is tucked in the center. Just like a jewel in a locket. It's in a safe place. Confidentially safe. And devotional service is the culmination of understanding Krishna. Because he's telling us all about him from chapters 7 through 12. Okay? Before he tells us about processes, karma yoga. In the last section, he tells us more about Gyan, philosophy. But in the middle, he tells us about himself. And devotional service is the wrap-up to that. Because this is conclusion of knowing about Krishna. Okay? So now, what we're going to do is we're going to quickly go over the sizes of these sections, because it's fun to know how big they are. And we know the time, chapter 7. How many slokas were there? 30. Now that's not on your map, but we remember time. At 7:30, what do? We're having darshan of the deities. Think of some way to remember the number. Chapter 7, and do you remember what that one was called? Knowledge of Krishna, right? Knowledge about the absolute. Knowledge about the absolute. What time is it? 7:30. Okay. 8 o'clock, chapter 8. At 8:28, we're waiting for the doors to open, and then they'll have darshan in the middle of Bhagavatam class, right? 28 means how many verses? 28 verses. It's nice to always refresh yourselves, and new people here need to hear it. 7:30 and 8:28. At 9 o'clock, right, after breakfast, we go back in front of the deities to finish up our japa. At 9:34, it's not as crowded. They're not pushing so hard, right? You have a little bit more room. You can actually see the Lord. You know, you don't have to protect yourself. At 9:34. Okay, now it's 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock. 10:42. Okay, again, you still decided to really do more rounds. You're in front of 10:42. Okay. We did 11 last time. This is an easy one. At 11 o'clock, 5 minutes before they close the doors so the Lord can have lunch, or he's actually had lunch, but they're going to open the doors now and you'll see how happy he looks. At 11:55, they're pulling off all the trays. And in 5 minutes, you're going to see him again. And at 12 o'clock, which is where we are, by 12:20, they've pretty much finished offering all the articles. Right, the lamps and the kirtans going on, and people are going close to get their flowers and whatever. So you got the numbers again? Okay, 7 what? 30. And 8? 28. And 9? 34. And 10? 42. Good, and 11? 55. And 12:20. And that's where we are today. Now this is a very easy chapter. It's quite easy. Krishna knew we had a birthday party. We had a lot of time for cake. Okay. This chapter, if you look at your mind map, okay, this chapter has only 3 divisions. Some of the chapters have 4, some have 5, some have 7. So this is a breeze. It's one of the 2 smallest chapters in the Gita. Often in the old days in India, children would memorize the Sanskrit for this chapter, and also for chapter 15. Chapter 15 is Purushottam Yoga, right? The yoga of the Supreme Person. It's only 20 verses, and this chapter is also only 20 verses. So they would give the children something easy to start on. What amazes me is how they could be learning those verses and they didn't get the point. Because so many people in India believe that the impersonal is the highest realization. And the first point of this chapter says the opposite. So obviously they didn't understand what they were memorizing. Or their teacher said, don't believe what Krishna says. I don't know what. They didn't understand. Yeah, you know. How could most of India take the impersonal conception and then teach this chapter? So we're going to find out the truth today, okay, according to Prabhupada. Thank God for Prabhupada. So we have 3 divisions. Now what is very handy, if you take out, you have a little book, some of you, called 1881. Now not everybody has, we only have 10 copies put aside, but there's a very simple mind map in there. And that mind map, it's a walkthrough book. at a glance, it's an index of all the chapters. And if you turn to the yellow portion and the last yellow page, you will see chapter 12, right? And what's the title? Devotional Service. So now you know this much. Chapter 12, Devotional Service, has 20 verses. It's the last chapter of the Bhakti Yoga section. And very easily on a mind map, you can get a visual index. You often have an index in a book, but it's a lot of words. But here it's a picture. Makes it easy, doesn't it? What do you think, Krishnamai? Easy. So in the middle, you see what numbers? In the middle of your mind map, 1220. Now you know what that means. This is now our new communication system. If somebody walks up to you, say 1220. Oh, I know what class you go to. Right? And around it, how many circles are there? Three. Those circles tell us what the Bhakti Shastri study guide decides to be the major topics. Okay? So we know now that there are how many major topics? Three. Okay? So we don't have too much to worry about today. Okay. Now, the first thing we want to do, if you look on the side of your mind map, you see a row of numbers. Big numbers, right? What's your first number? 7. 7. What's your next one? 5. Okay, and what's your last one? 8. 8? Now we try to think of ways to remember 7. So we think of something Krishna conscious. What can you think of that's 7 Krishna conscious? 7 mothers, that's an easy one. 7 sages, 7 mothers, that's easy. 7 days in a week, something. Okay, what about 5? 5 Pandavas. Everybody pretty much gets the same connection. And what about 8? Everybody loves to say the gopis. 7 mothers and the 8 gopis, and a few men are mixed in. 5 Pandavas. So 7 is the size of the first topic. 5 is the size of the second topic. And 8 is the size of the third topic. So now erase your slate. Don't look at a chart. And see if you can put the same information on your slate. Okay, you don't have enough slate. Okay, 7, 5, 8. Because if you do it, that's your check. Now, see, before here, you might not have known that. How many people knew that before? You knew that before. So this is new, right? 7, 5, 8. So now you've figured, okay, I'm advancing in knowledge. This is good. I want to know more when I go out the door than I did when I came in. Otherwise, I'm wasting my time. Right? 7, 5, 8. Now we're going to find out what 7 is. Okay? Because now we're curious. What's the first topic about? This topic, according to our mind map, is personal bhakti over impersonal. This is the essence. Arjuna wants to know which is the perfect process. Krishna clearly says, worship of my personal form is most perfect. And he goes into great description of the difficulties of the impersonal path. Because he wants to back up what he says. He can be very egoistic and say, hey, look, just worship me because I'm great. But he doesn't do that. He's very logical. He's practical. He gives you reasons why worship of the impersonal is easier, it's natural, and it's guaranteed, immediate. So the first 7 verses are about what? Bhakti over the impersonal worship. Now for how many, raise your hand, how many said that's new for you? Who learned something right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. New, good. When you go out the door, you add that to your little list of take-home points. Right? I just learned something. Now, some of you already knew that. We have a lot of experts here. Okay, 7 slokas. The next 5. What's this going to be? Who knows what's next? Look at your charts. Right. What are the, this is like a stair step. What are the stages of devotion? Not everybody's on the same platform. Is everybody on the same platform? No. Some people are beginners. Some people are highly advanced. But Krishna's not envious. He's the father of everybody. So wherever you are, he has you in the right place. For instance, some little kids are in the 1st grade. Does that mean Krishna doesn't like them? Does he definitely like the 12th graders more? No. He's not envious. He's kind to everybody. No matter where you are, you just get on the staircase. Now this staircase is interesting because it's progressively from the top to the lower stages. What's it from? Top to the lower. Sometimes they'll give you a progression from the lower stages to the top. Like the Karma Yoga ladder. They don't start you at the top. They start you at the bottom. And you climb the ladder through each chapter until you come to the middle section. So this stages of progression starts from the top and it comes down to lower and lower ways to get on the escalator. Right? Get on the staircase. Actually, escalator is the direct method. Gradual method is the other one, where you gradually go up. But in Kali Yuga, it's not recommended too much, because we don't have as much time. Life is short in Kali Yuga. Okay, so everybody understand that? Personalism over, impersonalism, 7 verses. Progressive stages of devotion, 5. And your final ones are, we're going to put some qualities. Qualities that make you dear to Krishna. How many people here would like to be dear to Krishna? Hey, now everybody's hand went up. So this is your checklist. If I know what he likes, then I should do it. Like when I asked Raghava, what cake do you like? He said carob, with carob frosting. And if I bring him strawberry with something else, he's going to think, but I said something else. Why don't you like me? So it's nice to know what Krishna likes. 8 slokas there. And I failed to count them up, but I think it's about 35 qualities. So we want to go through that checklist and see how many of those qualities we're working on. Okay? Because you all want to be dear to Krishna. All right. So now erase your board, and in 30 seconds, do it again. Because now you really want to fix it in your mind. In Kali Yuga, you have to do things rapidly and repeatedly. Because in Kali Yuga, we don't remember it just the first time through. It's not possible. For most people, there are some who have fantastic memories. Okay, so don't look at your charts and see if you can remember everything and put it on your slate. Okay, and show it to your neighbor. Show it to your neighbor. And tell your neighbor what you just did. Tell your neighbor what you just did. Wow, the guy owns a parking lot. He's a used car dealer. Yeah. These are all the temple book distribution vans, right? Okay, now you're preaching. Preaching is how you can become very dear to Krishna. The minute you tell people something about Krishna, you've really won his heart. It's the secret. There's no one more dear, nor will there ever be, one who explains the Bhagavad Gita to someone. So now you're really becoming dear to Krishna. So did you repeat everything on that? You got it all, Sugopi? Did she do okay? You know it now too, right? Okay. And it's really fixed. It's not just something so, oh, I'm not sure. Fantastic. See, does she want to recite them today? Does she know them? Oh, okay. We asked Raghav if he remembered. He said if I'd have asked him a few days ago, he'd have brushed up. But he says, I know 16, but we're not on 16 today. Okay? Okay? So did you now just do your preaching? Krishna's very happy with you now. And you try to find someone after class. And you open up your chart and you say, hey, did you know this? Something new about Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is so happy when he sees you sharing knowledge about him. Okay, now we're going to do a little more detailed point. We're going to take the sections and find out the location. We know how big they are, but now we're going to be scholars. Okay, so we're going to put Bhakti over impersonalism, and instead of putting 7, we're going to write 1 through 7. Because now we know not only how big it is, but where it is. The first 7 slokas are proof that worship of the Lord's personal form is easier and more perfect than worship of his impersonal form. 1 through 7. So you're all now scholars. You know where to find that. And you know where to tell somebody. Somebody, right? Somebody knows where to look. All right. The next topic is what? Progressive stages of devotion. And remember I showed the staircase going down. Why did I do that? Right, because we're starting with the top, coming down. Now, scholars, do your Google search. Where's this? A through. Very good. So somebody asks you, where in the Bhagavad Gita do we find the progressive stages of devotional service? And you will say, 8 through 12. Like that. Right. You don't even need to look it up on your computer. You've got it in this computer. Okay. Now your last section is qualities that endear one to Krishna. Now where's that going to be? 13 to 20. And you know you have to stop at 20 because that chapter is ending. That's it. And you know you have to start at 13 because you ended with 12. Now here we find a list of all the qualities that will make all of you dear to Krishna. And Prabhupada stresses, I was listening all day to his lecture on this chapter. He said, my Guru Maharaj said, don't try to see Krishna. Act in such a way that Krishna wants to see you. He said, think about it. If you're working for some employer, you don't just go to his office and hang out with him. You work in such a way that the news spreads. They say, oh, that worker is really good. He does his work nicely. He doesn't make trouble with the devotees. He's here on time. He's faithful. And the boss will say, wow, I'd like to see him. Right? So Prabhupada says Krishna's like that. If you try to see him, Krishna's going to say, so, what's your qualification? So it's better to play the humble role. Just work in such a way that Krishna wants to see you. Okay? Now, Prabhupada, I heard him say that. All right, so now you know the sections? All right. Now, this is pretty easy section. Let us go a little further. Let's go to our study guides. You have the Bhakti Shastri study guide. This is progressive. We want to know a little bit more. So the study guide, let's see if there are see where we got this information. So we don't think it's concocted. Chapter 12 is explained on page 50. So in your study guide, if you'll quickly turn to page 50, now you're ready to add more information. Now we don't add more until you've mastered what you did before. Because if we give you too much too fast, you get indigestion of the mind. Right? You get indigestion. Okay. Do you all have this now? Did you find it on page 50? What in there do you already know? One thing we do in education is we try to build on what people know. So on page 50, you know chapter 12, and you know what? Bhakti over 1 through 7. So now, this study guide looks pretty easy for me. You'd be surprised. Many people go through the course and they don't even look at the study guide. But you guys really know it. Okay, what about the next topic? You already know that. Okay, we're going to go further. What about the next? And you know where that is. So now you're ready to build up on your knowledge tree. Okay. Now, what we do when we go through sentences is we extract words. And then we can remember text. Because if I just read the text, maybe some of our clever little boys here can remember everything. But basically, most people can't digest too much. Okay. So now we're going to look for the main two words of any sentence. What's it about, and what are they doing? Now I'm going to read it, and you all do your Google search. The Bhagavad Gita's middle set of 6 chapters began with Krishna discussing bhakti, and Arjuna wants it to end in the same way. So now here we're getting an important point. What's the subject? The Bhagavad Gita's middle set of how many chapters? 6. And what's the verb? Began. It began. And what did it begin with? He's discussing bhakti. And now we have a compound sentence. The second part is also a sentence. What's the subject of the second sentence? Arjuna. And what's the verb? Now what does he want? He wants it to end in the same way. Now did you all just learn something? Yes. At the beginning of the 6 chapters, it starts with a description of devotional service. And it ends in this section with the same way. Because Arjuna is convinced. All right. So now you remember what you said? What we read? Turn around and tell your neighbor this. What did you just learn? Because this is important. We can keep going. But the point is, if you express it, then you remember. Okay? Everybody got the major topic here. Because however something starts, it's the main point. I made a horrible oversight. We have guests, and they forgot to ask you to write your names on your slates. Everybody else here knows. So would you write your names on your slates? And please introduce yourselves. Because I think Parma Karuna said you were coming. Are you friends with Parma Karuna? Are you friends with Parma Karuna? She said that perhaps you'd come today. Okay, so let us find out your names so everybody knows who you are. And again, I usually start with his, and sometimes I get so focused on what has to be done, I make an oversight. So please excuse me. We need to know who we don't want to be impersonalists. This chapter is about personalism. And all the rest of you put your names on your slates in nice print, and we'll allow our visitors to introduce themselves. Okay? So let's start with the little girl. She's 12, right? Are you 12? You're homeschoolers. You're almost 8? Whoa, I made another blunder. You look very grown up. 8, almost. She's 7. Okay, everybody, is the homeschooling? You see how advanced these kids are. You're almost 8. Well, tell us who you are. I think you're about to. You're inquiring. Well, you're in nice company. Because we have homeschoolers here, and we have homeschoolers here. And they've taken to it with a lot of determination. So it's nice for you to meet them. Because they look respectable. Right? I mean, they don't look like people who are just trying to get out of something. We have another homeschooler here. 3. This is, like some people take to something because they think, I don't have to do what the system says. That's not the proper attitude. You should be able to take to it and says, I want to cover what they expect and do more. So these people are like that. So you've got 3 homeschooling families. Okay, so what's the 7-year-old's name? Radhe. Does anybody have a hard time with that one? Believe me, anybody who is in ISKCON at this point, if your name's not Radhe, you don't count. Just some form of Radharani. Forget everybody else, It's just Radhe, 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 Radhe. Right. Okay, Mommy, what's your name? Devi Radha? Did you catch that word? Okay, I just proved what we just said, right? Devi Radha, Devi Dasi. I'm sure by the time the 10,000-year period is over, we will have exhausted every name Radharani has possibly gone by. Devi, Radha, Devi, Dasi, and Radhe. You all got it? Okay, really fast. This is Shakshi Parush. Who is that? Okay. And this is Dhyana. Hold up your slate so they can see. Who is that? Dhyana. She's a visitor and she's becoming pretty serious. My old friend, Krishna Mai, who has gone through Bhagavad Gita so many times, you must know it by heart. Is this helping you, though? Okay, Krishna Mai. Krishna Mai. Did you hold? We don't have a slate to hold up. What's her name now? And what's the little girl who's 7? Radhe. And what's her mommy? Devi Radhi, Devi Dasi. Okay. Now, we have another one over there. Radhika Rati. See, I'm not lying. And of course, if it's a boy, we have to be careful. What's his name? Krishnadas. That's not too hard. It's either Radha or Krishna, or a variation of both. And next to her, him, Kamala. That's another name of Radharani, Kamala, the lotus flower. Now we have another visitor. See, I blundered big time. What's your name? Sita. You're sitting next to Raghav. How did you show up today? This boy, Okay, so we're covering all the bases now. We've got the different dynasties, Raghav, right. Okay. What about her? Neela Lashmi. Now, interesting, Neela, and this little boy's name is Neela Madhav. They both had a birthday the same day, too. So we're getting a lot of interstellar connections. Neela Lakshmi, she sells books in the Samadhi. Super sincere. SS. Now we have Samohini. Samohini is the name of a flute. Krishna has many flutes, and Samohini is one of them. He has marble flutes, and he has small flutes, and he has bamboo flutes. Actually, Kishori over here is a flutist. Kishori, how many flutes do you have? I mean Garangi. Garangi, sorry. How many flutes do you have? Did you all hear that? 12 flutes. When she went to Mayapur to buy a flute, the expert guy who makes flutes will never sell you fewer than how many? 12. So you can get the whole range of sound. She's expert. If you've got 12 flutes, you got to know what you're doing. Got to know what you're doing. I bet you didn't know that about her. 12 flutes. Okay. Now we have an expert cook next to her. Right? This is Radhika. Did you catch the word Radhika? Radhika. She's an expert cook. She used to cook for the deities here. She knows her stuff also. We have a teacher sitting next to her. Her name is, it's close, it's Gopi. Gopi Sudarshan. And she teaches in Mathura, right? She's a serious devotee. On the floor we have Rasamrita. Now that's a very Rasika name, right? So we're covering all the bases here. We're getting the mood. And Neela with his, Neela, he has the temple book distribution car program. Okay, and now we have an aspiring devotee, Anita. She's back here. She has just attained liberation. So you're going to find out anybody who takes to devotional service is already on the liberated platform. Right, Anita? She's feeling the euphoria, but watch out, because the purification comes. Yeah. Okay. So now we covered all the, you know who everybody is? Oh! This is another Gopi. And her name, hold it up, is Sue Gopi. Sue is auspicious, and Gopi, hold it up so everybody can see. I know who you are. How old are you? She had to think about it. 9. 7, 9, and Raghav is now. And how old are you? 12. Now you can see the next generation is very advanced. And this guy's only 3. So be careful, you guys. We're in very advanced company today. Okay? And her mommy is Sundari. Did you catch that one? Sundari Radhika. How many of you have the word Radhika in your names? Hold your hands up. Radha, Radhika. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we have a lot of subsidiary relationships. Okay, are we ready now to go back to our book? You all had a little bit of an introduction. This is a chapter on personalism. We have to know who we are. Okay, now let us go back and let's learn something more. All right. Listen, now do your Google search. After witnessing Krishna's awesome, remember we have to read as actors, universal form, Arjuna wishes to confirm his own position as a devotee who works for Krishna, as opposed to a jnani who renounces work. Okay, what's the subject? Arjuna. And what's the verb? He wishes. Okay, so we'll do the 6-point thinking questions. There are 6 thinking questions. Who, what, when, where, why. So we know who? Right. And what? Wishes. All right. When? After seeing what? Universal form. You ask those questions and you know the word. You know it. If you ask those questions, you can repeat this sentence. Try it out. It works. Arjuna wishes when? After what? Witnessing Krishna's awesome universal form. Now what does he wish? To confirm. Confirm what? His own position as a devotee. And now we have a relative phrase. What kind of a devotee? He works for Krishna. And we have a contrast here. What's the contrast? Opposed to a what? Jnani who? Now you try it out. I want you to turn to your neighbor. And you guys are going to sound like scholars. Because you're going to tell them pretty much what's in that sentence. Try it. Okay, you turn to them. I mean, this may seem a little laborious, but it's actually the way to remember. Okay? Try it. Yeah, what does he want to do? He wishes, when? After seeing the universal form. He wants to confirm. Of course, this was at the end of 11th chapter. The what? He wants to confirm his position as a what? Devotee. You get what many times. Yeah, what? And, yeah, what kind of a devotee? He works for Krishna. Contrasted with somebody who's a jnani, right, who renounces work. Because he says, I do this, but I want to see what's my position. How's she doing? Is she articulating? You know, she could write an essay exam now very easily. We're trying to get you used to the idea of it's not that hard if you know that. We call these the cracking the code, study links. You ask those questions, then you can write, you can speak, right? Right? Okay? Now you're becoming preachers, right? You're articulate. And you know the link between 11 and 12, because everything's linked. After seeing the form, now I want to know what's my position. Okay? Now you're all preachers. You can speak. You can speak. Don't think the scholars don't do this. This is what the scholars do. They analyze everything, and then they can repeat very easily. But it's not barred to just scholars. The average person can do it if he knows the code. Okay? Do you agree? You're going to go home and tell your father something today. A little bit about chapter 12, right? Okay. All right. You having fun? It's quite different, isn't it, Krishnamai? It's quite different. Okay, so now you know how to preach. Now what we're going to do, because we've got to go fast, in 7 minutes we have to get the next 3. So we're not going to belabor it too much, but you got the essence of the overview. Paragraphs. Bhakti over impersonalism. Now, I'm going to read through this really fast, and we're just going to pick a few keywords. Okay? So in your mind, you think about them. What do you think are the key words that would jump at you? If you were going to highlight important words Which would you highlight? Think now. Don't just sit there like a potato. Think. They call them couch potatoes in America. People who sit and watch TV all day. They call them couch potatoes. They sit on a couch, but they don't do anything. A mashed potato. Now, I'm going to read through this. You follow with your hand. I think what I'll do is I'll make you respond when I stop. That's better. Arjuna asked, which is? Superior. So that's a key word. Worshipping Krishna through devotional service, or worshipping his impersonal teacher. So we've got about 3 words: superior, devotional, and impersonal. Okay. Krishna? Immediately. He doesn't scratch his head. Responds, saying that one engaged in his is okay, so immediately, personal, and topmost. A worshiper of the is less and undergoes more than one who worships. Okay, so now we know impersonal is less and difficult. Right? It's less and difficult. The path of is so devotion is easier. And Krishna delivers his devotee from. That's a good deal. He personally, that's a very important sloka. I'm the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. That's the best guarantee. Personal delivery. Okay, so now you got the highlight words here. Progressive stages of devotion. We'll stop when you do the highlight words. Krishna describes in order. Reverse is your word. The path leading to devotional service. He first. These are important words. They're called sequence words. First, he advises the devotee to his how? Constantly on him. He just doesn't say once in a while. If one cannot do that, one should oneself by the rules and R, right? Reading, writing, and arithmetic. Rules and regulations of. Right, so if you can't always think of Krishna, then you have to do what? Follow the rules and regulations of bhakti. If one... Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. If that is too difficult, one may engage in... Okay, now we're going to find out a definition. There are many definitions of karma yoga, but basically it means giving up the fruits of your work to... Oh, I thought you were supposed to give them to all your family members. Now you got to give it to Krishna. If one cannot even this, boy, Krishna is liberal. Then the indirect path, which begins with renunciation of work and leads to and meditation. So now you got this key words here. You got the point? He's telling you, I'm very liberal. If you can't do this, do this. If you can't do this, do this. And if you can't do this, do this. He's not envious. Last one. Recite the key words. Having described the of Krishna now enumerates, that means lists, the transcendental automatically achieved by which the devotee to. Okay, so now he wants you to know how to do the process. I'm telling you the one I prefer. Now I have to tell you how to do it. Right? Pointing out these further substantiates. That's a big word. That means proves. The theme of? Right, this is the theme, devotional service. That bhakti is the best of spiritual Krishna, that one who follows the path of service, making him the is very dear to him. The question of who is the personalist or the is, and devotional service is the ultimate of spiritual. So now you have in a nutshell chapter 12. Okay? Let us take out our icons. On our maps, on the back, we have icons. Icons are little drawings, schematic, symbolic, that give a visual picture of a word. You have them on your cell phones, right? When you have a cell phone, many new phones now have icons, right? Does anybody here have an icon phone? You have icon. You should have an icon phone now, right? Did you have icons on your phone? Right. You pick the picture. Your computer is full of icons. If you want to find Reliance connection, if you want to find the waste bin, you just pick the picture, right? You go really fast. Oh, the picture. Because a picture is worth 10,000 words. How many?
10,000 words.
That's a good deal. Okay. Don't think I'm making this up. Do you know in the book called Mind Mapping, do you know what they did? They took 10,000 pictures. And they took a random group like this. And then with a very short time, they flipped the pictures. 10,000 pictures. Not 10, not 1,000. How many?
10,000.
In a fast. Afterwards, they added pictures that were not before. They didn't have them in the first batch. Guess what the people were able to do? They were able to identify the pictures that were not there before. What should that tell you? Pictures are worth 10,000 words. I'm not lying. They did that 10,000 pictures, add a few more, run them through 10,000 pictures again, add a few more, and the average person could quickly spot these are new. So we've got some icons here for you. Okay? You got your maps? Ready to go. Because pictures are worth 10,000 words. Let's face it. You could read Brahma Samhita many, many times. But when you stand in front of the deity, it's sort of obvious. Right? You can get the words, but even if it's just a picture of Krishna, right? So, right away, yeah, that's Krishna. That must be Radha. That must be Balaram. That must be Gauranga. Okay? Okay, you're going to have fun with your icons now? We only have 20. Let's take a quick look at 20. We see a star. Okay? And then in the next one you see a face of Krishna. And then you see an empty circle. And then you see an arrow going up. Okay, don't look at your sheet. On your magic slate, draw the 4 pictures. What did you just see? See if this works. Now, if I just give you the words, difficult. But you can do, how many of you are able to draw 4 symbols? They're symbols. Icons are meant to be symbolic. You don't get a perfect Rembrandt drawing on your computer of the icon. They give you some quick graphic shortcut, symbolic, right? So what was your first one?
Star.
Did you all do a star? What was your second one?
Star.
A little face of Krishna. What was your third one? Empty circle. What was your last one? Arrow. Hey, that was fast. Shall we try the next row? Now you see a guy who doesn't look too happy. Does he look very happy? No. And then after that, what do you see?
Heart.
That's a pretty easy symbol. Heart. Now you see 3 lines and an S. Now this does not mean Shiva's marks. This means that the S is running so fast, that he's getting the wind behind him. So you've got an unhappy face, a heart, and a fast-running S. Okay, don't look at your thing. See if you can draw 3 more symbols. Really fast. Now this is your art class for today. Did you remember all 3? The unhappy man, the heart, and the really swift S. Super fast, jet speed. Okay, now here's your real test. Do all 7 of them on your slate. Do all 7 on your slate. See if you can do all 7. I see a few expressions on the face which are, wait a minute. Did you do all 7? Yay! Did you get your 7 icons? Was that hard? No. You're going to go home and do that for your father. So let us see what this means. Everybody able to do it? What does a star mean? Yeah, when you go to school, your teacher gives you a star if you get it perfect. What does Krishna mean? His personal form. What does the empty circle mean? Yeah, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. It's empty. What's the arrow mean?
Achieve.
Going up. Achieves. What's number 5? The guy's really suffering. What's number 6? This is a plus verse. 6 and 7 are double verse. And what's the last word? Swift. One who's devoted. Swift. Okay, you got the words now? PP, perfect, personal. Unmanifest and achieve. Troublesome. Devoted and swift. Now see if you can tell your neighbor 7 words. This is hard. But if you think of the picture, it's not so bad. Can she go home and tell her father 7 link words? Good. Perfect. Personal, unmanifest. Achieves, troublesome, devoted, and sweet. It makes it so easy, doesn't it? Krishna Marie, are you flying through this chapter? Quite different. This is completely unique. We're just doing what the material world is doing out there. Yes, they know what works. We're just copying them. Okay, let's get the next 5. These are all stars. By the way, if you look at how many verses are stars, oh my goodness. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. 12 out of 20. That's how many chapters. That's a chapter one. 12 out of 20 slokas are considered key thematic verses. Preachers should know these. It's only 11? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, that's how old you are. Thank you. Okay, I saved myself. Okay. Okay, let's look at our cartoons. I see a thinking bubble with a K. What do you see? Thinking bubble. They use that in cartoons to mean, oh, this guy's thinking of something. What's he thinking of? Good. Now what do I see? A clock. What is a clock supposed to do? Yeah, regulate. Now I see a broom with dust. What do I have to do now? Work. We know that one. Next I see what? Apple. What's apple? It's a fruit. Result. What do I see next? A book. Yes, that means knowledge. I have a think bubble that has a K. I have a clock. I have a broom. I have an apple. And I have a book. Now, let's make a story. If you get up in the morning, you should think of, it's what time? 3 o'clock. If you're in good health. I can't do that anymore. And then you should do what? Clean the floor. Then you're on a special diet. You want to take along an apple. And you also want to carry your book. Your Bhagavad Gita. So the first one was you're going to wake up and you're going to think of Krishna at what? 3 o'clock. And all day. You're going to clean the floor where you slept. You should wash it too. Pack some fruit and your Bhagavad Gita. Or book. Okay? Really fast. Draw those 5 cartoons. Draw your 5 cartoons. So you now know the 5 stages of devotion. What's your first one? Fix. Next? Regulated. Then? Work. Then? Results. Then? Cultivation. Knowledge. Got that section now? Okay, we'll very quickly run through the next ones because at 1:45 we want to stop, put everything away, and have some cake. That's the fruit of this hard work today. Sacrifice. Okay, what do you see in the 13? Yeah, two guys looking at each other, and they're smiling. They're not going, ah. They're friends. What about 14? Yes. Devotee should be satisfied. He shouldn't complain. Oh, Krishna, why did you give me this? That's not our mood. Krishna, thank you, I deserved worse. Right. He's satisfied. So the first one is what? And then the 14 is satisfied. Now there are many other qualities, but I chose some easy ones to remember. Oh, you see the balance scales there. What's 15? Equipoised. Heat, cold, happiness, distress, friends, enemies, fame, infamy. He's equipoised. This is the Brahmabhuta platform. What we're hearing here is achieved through bhakti. By other processes, renunciation of work, not so easy. Friend to everyone. He's satisfied. He doesn't complain. Krishna, I don't like that sari my husband gave me. He's equipoised. 16, he's what? Expert. 2 E's. Equipoised and expert. He's good at what he does. He knows what he's doing. 17, what do you see down there? He's renounced. And it doesn't mean you have to walk around with the sannyasi rod. You can be sannyas and be a householder. Mataji. Renounced. It's a tridanda. The sannyasi rod. That means you surrender body, mind, and words. Okay? What's the next symbol? Equal. He's equal to everybody. We have 3 E's here. Equipoised, expert, equal. Now what's 19? This is hard. Silent. Does that mean we don't say anything? No, we only speak about Krishna. The minute you don't, it's like the croaking of the frog. What does the frog do? And what comes when he hears the croak? The snake of death. So the minute you stop talking about Krishna, your troubles have just begun. So what are we doing here? We're talking about Krishna. You're safe. We're not talking about something else. If you're in the company where they start talking about something else, say, oh, it's time for me to go somewhere else. You don't want the snake of time to come get you. Okay. One of my friends, Gaura Govinda Maharaj's disciple, she told me something cute. She said, my Guru Maharaj said, if you want to do something and you don't want anybody to know, he said, don't do it. Don't do it. Because Super Soul will send a message. It's true. Immediately. He is the neutral central command. So he said, if you want to do something that you don't want anybody to know, don't do it. Because the minute you do it, or say it, or think it, guess what happens? The message goes. I thought that was good advice. So silent means we speak about Krishna. We don't do monavrata. If people do monavrata and they walk around with the magic slates, I had that happen. One girl in my ashram, she did Mona Vrata for Kartik, and she was always at my door with a slate. It was the same thing. We said the word is nothing more than recorded sound. To actually say nothing, you got to be one of those Zen monks, right? Or those Buddhists. I remember Kadamba Kanana Maharaj said he went into a Buddhist monastery. He said he freaked out. Nobody would talk to anybody. Nobody would talk to anybody. He said, I had to leave. I came to Vrindavan. Okay. And what's your last one? Imperishable. And what's imperishable? Oh, yes, right. Devotional service. So did you have fun with your icons? Well, the fruit of your austerity is cake. Okay. So, will you all carefully return class materials? You may keep your maps. And did you get protection sheets with your maps? Please put, I'm not into plastic, but when it comes to saving study materials, I believe in it. Otherwise, the maps are going to be in a bin. Torn, wet. Okay? Okay. Now we're going to see how quietly you can do this. Let's do a Mona Vrata. Neela, did you hear that? Shh. Let's see. You'll work faster if you don't talk. I've noticed the devotees who do the most, they say the least. Their actions speak louder than words. Even Krishna tells Pundraka, you're talking a lot. That means you're not going to make it. I didn't tell Kusha, I told Sumita, she said she was coming. We can save her a piece. Okay. We're going to have anything else here we can put away? You're very good at organizing. Oh. We better give her blessings. Poor thing. We better give her mind maps. We have good mind maps on the second camp.
She got 99%.
She got a
99.5% and 98%.
Did you hear that? His mom got a 98 and a 99 on the third canto. We're going to bless her today on canto 2. She has to sit an exam. Your exam is Monday. Oh, you have our blessings.